and welcome to another episode of Riverside Monthly with Mayor Bailey. My name is Steve Brazel, and I am joined by the mayor for the city of Riverside. Mayor Bailey, how are you, sir?
My name is Rusty Bailey, and I am the mayor of Riverside. And we are, this is an incredible topic that we're going to be talking about here, real and relevant, and it's more than monthly, although rent is monthly. It is a daily situation and serious situation that we're talking about, rental assistance programs during this COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, COVID-19 rental assistance programs. We've got three guests with us. I'm going to run through these. We've got the HR and Marketing Director for the Fair Housing Council of Riverside County, Liz Penny-Muglia. Liz, how are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Hi, Mayor Bailey. Hi, Steve. Thanks for having me.
It is our pleasure. We've also got the Assistant Director of Housing and Homeless Prevention and Workforce Solutions for Riverside County, Carrie Harmon. Carrie, hi.
Hi, good morning, everybody. It's great to be here.
Thanks for joining us,
And
Carrie.
the Executive Director, and this is a new title, by the way, Executive Director for Financial Stability and Housing for the Inland SoCal United Way, Cordell Thomas. Cordell, congratulations on the new title.
Thank you very much. It's a mouthful, but it's good to be here. Good to
Welcome,
see you, Mayor.
Cordell.
We're glad to have all of you here because we've got a lot of questions. This is an important topic, right, Mr. Mayor?
Nothing's more important than home to us, is it? And so why is rental assistance so important? It might be an obvious question to you all, but to the public, and it might be obvious to them. But why is rental assistance so important?
One of the main reasons in my mind is that renters at this point in time are more vulnerable than homeowners, and that could often be true just in general. But there's a major difference in socioeconomic status between renters and homeowners. And if somebody is paying more than 30% for their housing costs, then HUD does consider them to be housing cost burdened. And if you look back in 2016, 33% of overall U.S. households were housing cost burdened. But when you looked at just renters, that jumped to 47% of people.
Wow.
So more than half of all households in the bottom income quartile were renters, while 87% of households in the top income quartile were homeowners. So you see that disparity, it really does exist there. And I think that's one of the reasons it's so important. This pandemic is hitting tenants harder because homeowners do have some legal protections in place, just like tenants have with eviction moratoriums, but they have a longer period of time to repay what they've missed in their housing costs. They have 15 to 30-year mortgages that they're able to move missed payments to the end of oftentimes, whereas a renter has to catch that up before the end of their lease, which could be 6 months to a year generally. And then the final thing I'll say is that creates a domino effect. If people aren't paying rent, then property owners are not paying their mortgages, and it becomes a cycle. And in Riverside alone, 44% of people are renters.
So, Cordell, maybe you can chime in on this one. As we're talking about rental assistance, who is it that can participate? And as she just mentioned, the COVID-19 issue, do they have to have been directly affected by COVID-19?
Yes, that is one of the criteria, is there has to be some type of effect that COVID-19 had on their income. So one of the 5 criteria is you have to have a proof of income, number one, and number two is proof of the loss of income due to COVID-19 and the pandemic. So
Okay.
Those are a couple of criteria we use. And then one of the most important would be that they must be behind on rent. Up to 3 months, I think the county program provides up to $3,500 or 3 months. So anyone that fits that criteria, we're welcoming to the table to apply for some of these funds that are available.
Carrie, I want to go back to that, the first question, really, and from a county perspective, maybe you can address that. Why is rental assistance so important now in this day and age?
Really for 2 reasons. One is there were already vulnerable renters with very little savings living month to month before the pandemic ever occurred, and they are more likely to be negatively impacted for a very long period of time from the economic fallout of the pandemic. But secondly, if you look beyond the renter category and into who those workers are,
Right.
who those households are, they are our service workers. They are our barbers, our, hairdressers, people who
Waiters, waitresses.
right. And so when we think about it, it isn't just support for renters, it's also support for certain workers who are very valuable in our communities and helping them for a longer term so that they can recover in the same manner that other people can as well in the community.
When we talk funds for this, because Cordell did touch on the amount that's available based on months behind. Where do these assistance funds come from? Are we talking local, state, federal funds, a combination of all?
So at the county, we blended funds. So
Okay.
30 million of it is federal CARES funding that was allocated to Riverside County that we pushed out to serve the community. An additional 3 million was federal community development block grant funds, which comes to us yearly. Traditionally, we use it for very small scale rental assistance programs. We got additional funding due to the pandemic, and we combined it.
Is it correct that the money is for back rent only, not current or future rent?
That is correct. We are asking that those who are applying are behind in their rent. We've run into a couple of situations where people have been current. They've figured a way of becoming current and has excluded them from the ability to get paid for that current cycle. But that is one of the qualifying criteria. They must be behind.
Liz, maybe you can answer this one, and that is when the funds are delivered, do residents get the money directly, or does it go straight to a landlord, or how does that work?
Because these funds are really meant to prevent homelessness, we want to make sure that they go directly where they need to go, to the housing payments. We've had calls from people who are making really tough decisions. We have breadwinners that are laid off and are relying on their kids' job part-time at Amazon to get by. And we want to make sure that the money is going to housing. So we're allowing the renters to be the ones to apply. Then we verify the information, and then the payments are sent directly to the landlords. And we are in communication with all of them the whole way through to make sure it gets applied correctly.
I like that because it's good for the renter. It helps them, but it also makes the landlords feel more comfortable with the program too.
Are income levels part of the criteria?
Yes, there are qualifying part of the criteria. I believe it's between 50 and 80% AMI for low income. As long as they fit those qualifying factors, yes, that is. And of course, it's not for the income in 2019. It has to do with their annualized income post-COVID crisis. So it's taking a look at what it is right now based on the impact that COVID-19 had on their income.
So let's Carrie, answer this question first. All of you, I want to hear from you. But what would be the effect of not having this program in place?
We do not want people to be displaced. That's our number one thing, is the prevention of homelessness. But the second thing is that we want people to have a pathway to economic stability. And so I think incurring large amounts of debt, including credit card debts, many low income people end up losing their vehicles that they need to go to work or to school because they're having to make tough choices. So we want to protect the financial solvency of lower income households. And that's one of our primary goals in our rental assistance program.
So let's talk about the landlord side for a second, because one of the things people forget is, landlords are effectively business owners, right? I mean, it's a business endeavor, and we want to help business people as well during this pandemic. This helps them from the loss of income on their side, right? I mean, that's got to be a benefit on both sides now. The renters get to keep and not be evicted or hurt financially that way. And at the same time, the business owners are taken care of.
And an additional thing on top of that, I think I would place in there, is it's causing this conversation between tenant and landlord. And it's a critical conversation that needs to be had. And it does help us now have a conversation about financial stability. As Carrie said, it is about understanding budgets, understanding how this assistance help them keep their car, keep their opportunity for making money in order. So if we have these conversations long term, it now establishes some type of long-term relationship between the landlord and the tenant to have conversations moving forward. So
Liz, answer that question I asked before. What would be the effect in your mind? You're also countywide. Fair Housing is a countywide nonprofit and deliver service. What would be the effect of not having a program like this?
I'm going to echo what Carrie and Cordell had to say, and we would see much more homelessness than we're already seeing if we were to not put programs like this in place. And we will see that in some places where funding was not given to rental assistance. This isn't something that covers everybody. There are people who don't qualify, and Cordell touched on a few of those before. So I think the biggest thing is, thank you, Mayor Bailey and the city council and city staff and the county and everybody who's working on doing this, because once somebody falls into homelessness,
Right.
that's a really, really tough gap to close. So for the city and the county and other organizations to come and close that gap, once you're there, you can't keep a car, you can't take a shower, you have nowhere to go to the bathroom, your kids don't have anywhere to have Wi-Fi to go to school. So there are so many things that start to multiply. So I think that is what we would be seeing at a much larger level if it weren't for a program like this.
Great
And
point.
as Carrie mentioned too, these are the service workers. So these are people you don't normally think of as homeless that you may know that may wait on you in a restaurant. These are literally our neighbors that could be in financial harm because of the pandemic situation, and this helps them.
That's right. We got to love our neighbors, and as you mentioned, Liz, and all of you, Carrie, Cordell, prevention is less costly than intervention in the long run, and so we want to prevent
Exactly.
homelessness first, and then obviously focus in the long run on their financial stability. And so where can people find more information? Where can they learn more? I know fairhousing.net. Are there other places that they can go to find information about this program?
Certainly. UnitedLift.org is a website you can go to. It will reopen on the 15th, and it will be ongoing for people to apply for assistance. That's the place I would ask them to go. It should have it in both English and Spanish, and should have explanations as well as frequently asked questions.
Fairhousing.net has the application for the Fair Housing Program, and it is currently open, and it doesn't look like it's going to be closing anytime soon. We've got more funding coming.
And Carrie, anything to add to that?
My only final comment is this really is a community effort. Many of our community partners, local nonprofits are helping steer clients they serve into these programs. So just thank everybody for their support, because even though we funded it, it's a lot of hands in it.
Yeah.
So let me say those sites again, just for those of you that didn't get a chance to write them down or memorize them. UnitedLift.org is one, and fairhousing.net is the other one. Head to one of those two websites and you can find out the information that you need. Mr. Mayor, always good to see you, and thank you very much for obviously being here today.
Yeah, of course, and thank you all for being a part of this, for the work you're doing for our residents across the county. God bless you all for your service.
Yeah, Liz Penny-Muglia, HR and Marketing Director, Fair Housing Council of Riverside County. Thank you to you for being here.
Thanks so much.
Also, Carrie Harmon. She is the Assistant Director of Housing, Homeless Prevention, and Workforce Solutions for Riverside County. Carrie, thank you for sharing today.
Thank you for having me.
And last but not least, with the new title, Executive Director for Financial Stability and Housing from Inland SoCal United Way, Cordell Thomas. Cordell, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
To everybody, that's Riverside Monthly this time around, but there are 3 other segments this month, and you should go check out each and every one. This month, we've got some very, very important and timely topics that we discuss. I'm Steve Brazel. This is Riverside Monthly with Mayor Bailey, and we will see you on the next show.